2022 Endurance eRacing World Championship brought to you in partnership with Viper Gaming by Patriots, Azatec Sim Sports, Global Flix, Motorvision.tv, Stengolm, ESTV and Film Vault Limited.
Racing for Green is here to help you carbon neutralize your racing. By planting new trees, Racing for Green offers to make your racing carbon neutral. We already have the calculations, contacts, infrastructure, deals and solutions ready for you to easily buy carbon neutral laps on any racetrack. It doesn't matter if you are a racing fan, team owner, driver, sponsor or partner. Anyone can buy CO2 neutral laps in the Racing for Green webshop and trade CO2 emissions for New Forest. Racing for Green.
Just think about the fun things you do online. Diving into movies you love. Shopping. Enjoying free Wi-Fi with your morning coffee. Wait, who's that guy? Meet the Digital Snooper. It can be your internet service provider peeking at what you do online, or a cyber criminal on a mission to snitch your credit card info, or a hacker at the next table trying to steal your sensitive data. Uh-oh. But don't worry. NordVPN keeps all these snoopers away. It makes your internet activity private, protects you from accessing dangerous websites, and lets you enjoy your favorite content securely, even while away from home. The best part? It's just a click. Yep, internet security is that easy.
You can get NordVPN today at a 60% discount by visiting gtr24h.org/VPN.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the start of the EEWC round number 4 here at Interlagos. So, as you can see, the safety car is just bringing the field around the final turn. Final major turn, which is Junqiao. So, we will be getting this race underway. Practice and qualifying are now done, and then it's going to be 12 hours of action here around the Sao Paulo Classic. So, the Burst pair run off into the distance, or will they be challenged? DPI and LMP on the front row for the Burst squad. The safety car has pulled in. It is time to get this race underway. Of course, they need to time it properly. The green flag doth wave on the marshal post on the left-hand side, and we are away. We are racing here in Interlagos. The drivers don't realise it. There we go. There they realise it. Why on earth were they so slow? I'm not sure on that one. But must have been blame the lights man. He wasn't sure what was going on there. But either way, the Michi Hoya didn't need another invitation of that. But in fairness, Naki Raslan was very quick to capitalise on that and start to get the Sem9 Asuka up a couple of positions. It looks like everybody has survived. Doesn't look like we've had any major incidents just yet. as the field now start to work their way through the corners for the first time in anger. Now, yes, it's a 12-hour race. Yes, they need to be patient, but again, racing instinct will always kick in. It'll always be there to try and do the best they can in the positions they are. So the two burst cars are up front. As we identified yesterday, the DPIs obviously have the straight line benefit of being the more powerful class, but in that second sector in particular, the LMP car can be a good half a second quicker in that sector alone. So that's why Damien Scoffron is able to hang on to the back of Michi Hoyer. Robert Pound is right behind. There is Naki Maslan, so the 79 axle car carving his way through the field quite nicely. That's the Gadget Houston BMW Corvette that is just coming past, so that is up into 12th position overall now of our 14 starting cars. So screaming, sorry, that's 10th now, is up here, excuse me. So continuing to work its way through the field. There is the top four cars, so both DPIs and two LMPs. So Robert Pound in the Duties car has not fallen away too far. There's our GTE field. On board with the Glam Racing 404 GT3 of Callum Wilson. Now, the performance in the GT cars is not so drastically different. The GTE cars are a little bit quicker. You'll see that a lot actually coming through Decided Lager, that turn 4. A lot of people just running wide and kicking up a bit of dust. Doesn't mean they're flying off the road, doesn't mean they're incurring an off-track penalty. It just seems to be the chosen line. As again, we look at Damien Scoffron keeping fellow burst driver Michi Hoyer company there. They're not going to be challenging each other. There's no point. They're in two different classes. They're not going to gain anything by having an argument. But it'll be a good fun race if the LMP car can really hustle the DPI car. Not so good if they take each other off, however. Max Bunevik, who did pretty well, he actually put the Unison Racing BMW into the GTE pole for a period of time. Was, I think in the end, was the second fastest car in the night qualifying session for a period of time, until Wojciech Polesny then finally showed up in the in the evening session. So Scovrod, yeah, you can see this is where the DPI is a little bit stronger. Oh, that's loose. That's very, very loose coming into Desila Lager. Robert Pound going for a wander, as well as Peter Vagapov in the Unison Racing number 17. The 79 axle car is about 20 seconds behind here, so that's how much time they've lost working their way through the field. But either way, it's great to see the 79 axle car is now with us. There is Max Bunevik in 4th place in the GTEs. 3 GT3 cars not far behind either or. Oops, as we see, that was Ricardo Pera, I think, just dipping a wheel onto the grass there. Little bit of breathing space there from Yuha Makiyapi in the 74 Deuces Motorsports car, riding on board now with the DIS Sim Racing Lab Porsche, keeping fellow Porsche number 53 for company, Ricardo Pera directly ahead of it. As we now come through the Peronino and up towards the Bica de Pato. The off-board and on-board shots, we can see, beg your pardon, the off-board shot is looking at the lead of the two Porsches, the Ricardo Pera number 53 and the DIS we're riding on board on the right-hand pane of the DIS Sim Racing Lab number 45, with the Unison Racing 717 BMW directly behind, which I think was described as a boat to go through the corner bits, but in a straight line is fairly handy. Now, is the number 45 going to try and make a move on Ricardo Pera? Well, Ricardo Pera felt the need to defend. Oh, interesting. So the two Porsches not wasting any time in having an argument for second in the GTEs, because we've got a very, very long way to go yet. But either way, they are ready and raring to get on with it. And the BMW right behind them is still hanging on in there. Angel Benegas in the MCM 27 Aston Martin is a little way back. You can see on the left-hand shot there that the Aston is quite close to the GT3s. Alexander Sesha for the 585 Acertec car is right on his case. The Porsches really do look ready to do battle at this point. The Deuces car has got himself a little bit of breathing space, around about a second-ish. Ooh, that's not an ideal line for Ricardo Pera there. Coming into the S's. or essay as it's called. It's big move there on the inside of Biggie Pato for the number 45. He looked like he'd been trying to set that up for a while, and here comes the Unison BMW looking to get involved, and that's allowing the Juices car to get a bit more space. So here it is again. So you see that the line of the 45 car of Ricardo Pera was the 53 car was slightly compromised, which would have slowed him down a little bit, but that was just a big outbraking move by the DIS Sim Racing Lab Porsche to gain that second place. Is the BMW going to be able to make a move though? That car's a bit more tricky to maneuver. Great in a straight, or better in a straight line, but not so hot in the corners. And of course, Interlagos does not play into that kind of mindset. But either way, that BMW is nailed to the back of Ricardo Pera at the moment. Max Bunovic trying to find a way through. Now, is he going to do so here, or is he going to bide his time? Riding on board with the 717. You see the Porsche just has a bit of an edge initially out of the corners than the BMW does. But even still, Ricardo Pera went to that defensive line and just shut the door on Max Bunovic there. And look at the gap that the DIS car has now got. Max had a look on the inside line coming out through Larangina, but again, that door got very much shut. Ferragura first and then Larangina, but that door got shut straight in his face, so couldn't do anything about it. Remains in fourth position at the moment. So this first initial phase is always good fun when you have the all the cars jostling for position. But of course they will settle into their rhythms as time goes on. Again, not a great line there from Pera on the exit of the Bicca de Pato, but it was enough to keep the BMW at bay. Overtaking is quite tricky in Interlagos, although going onto the grass almost does Bunovic to get alongside the Porsche. Can he out-drag Ricardo Pera before they get up towards the first turn? Not quite. The Porsche just getting the drive he needs on the exit of Zhengshao to just fend off the BMW there. But look up front, the DIS Sim Racing Porsche is already on the back of Mako Jopi in the Juices car in the lead of the GTE class. Now Bunovic held on very tightly to the line there coming through the center S's. Again, Pera going for that defensive line. That is at this stage, that is just slowing them down. That's not going to help. And Pera again has got a little bit wide open the door for Bunovic. He's gotten alongside, but he's going to have the outside line for Ferragura and Larangina, and that is probably going to hand the advantage back to the Porsche. Bunovic staying in there though. Can he ring this one around the outside? Oh, big move. Can he keep it on the black star? Just about. Bare effort, but too deep into the S's to make that move stick. So Bunovic is really piling the pressure on. Ricardo Pera doesn't quite have the pace he needs at this stage, I think, to keep the BMW at bay. But we will see. He might find a little bit more, but you can see constantly defending against his attackers, whoever that may be. The picture-in-picture, that's Michi Hoyer, our race leader, the number 18 DPI car. Has now got himself about 4-second gap over the sister car, the LMP2, number 94, currently in the hands of Damien Scovron. And he's already going to be facing traffic, which is not necessarily a criticism to the slower cars. It's just because the lap is so short as the DIS Porsche very, very quickly into turn one onto the back of the number 74 of Juices Motorsports. Now, here we go again. The lead of the GTEs and the last of the podium spots in GTEs being fought again. Porsche and BMW side by side, but again the Porsche just gets enough drive on the exit of the center curves. But a big late braking move there from Bunovic. Can he get it slowed down? Yes, he does. He manages to get the BMW up into third, but now it's going to be advantage Porsche because the Porsche's a little bit stronger in the twisty bits. But Bunovic manages to hold on. So that is Unison now up into third position in the BMW. Nicely done. And it does look like just on the brakes, on corner entry, that BMW's really got a bit of a march on the 53 car. But it's on corner exit where the Porsche really seems to have the advantage over the BMW. There's the lead of the GT3s, the Happy Racing, as he's called in Discord. The 585, sorry, Alexander Sesha is now being hustled by the leader. That's Michi Hoyer in the Burst DPI, just coming past now. And again, doing the right thing, staying predictable for the faster car to come past. Standard rules of multi-class racing apply. If you're the car being lapped, you need to stay predictable. Don't jump out of the way. Don't try and help the lapping maneuver happen. The way you can help it is by staying predictable. Stay on your racing line and let the faster car plan their move as the DIS Porsche gets very, very squiggly. And like so, we've just seen Mitty Hoyer come past. You missed who he just came past there. So riding on board with Mitchy here, he can see he's got that's the DIS car and the Juices car are already ahead of him. So there's the face of concentration as well on Mitchy Hoyer. So as he's approaching the two cars ahead of him, he'll make the plan to make the move way before he gets there. He's even done it before we've had a chance to jump back to his car. He's already gotten past them on the run up towards Ferradura. But what he doesn't want to do is someone just at the last second to get off the racing line directly into his path. That's why the slower car needs to stay on the racing line and be predictable. This is what the faster cars will always want from the people that are coming past. Back to the DIS car. Here comes the Burst LMP2 car. Damien Scovron on the inside line. And there again, in the background, you've actually got the Juices LMP, Robert Pound, doing the same thing. So he's planned his moves. Of course, the faster car has to get off the racing line to make the move. But if the car being passed tries to help and get off the racing line, at the wrong moment, you're both going to tangle. So that's why the GT cars just need to sit still and let the faster ones come past. Oh, that's a lock up there. That was Peter Vagapov in the number 17 car. That's my doorbell, in case you wonder what that is. So someone at my door not realizing I'm working. Either way, hoping you can't hear my dogs. Also joining in with the chimes. There we go. So, Peter Vagapov with a bit of a moment. Not ideal in the first quarter of an hour of the race. So, as we look at the DIS car still hustling the back of the Juices car, and the person ringing the doorbell still doesn't realise I'm working. So this is Peter Vagapov. So he's locked up his brakes coming into turn one. Now the DIS car was absolutely right. It stuck to its line and remain predictable. Unfortunately, there was just a slight misjudgment there from Peter Vagapov. It's the posting. The postman couldn't realise. The postman trying to get my attention because there's a parcel, but I've just given them a thumbs up out the window. There's Mitchy Hoyer. That's not Mitchy Hoyer, beg your pardon. That's Alexander Sesher that we're looking at. There's Mitchy Hoyer's car on the left, but that's Alexander Sesher on the right. There we go. That's Alexander Sesher's car. So it can be a bit. It can be a bit unnerving when you are the slower car, and generally I know because I am usually the slower car. Even if I'm in the faster class, I'm usually the slower car. When you've got someone barreling past you, it can be a little bit unnerving. You just have to hold your line. You don't so much ignore that they're there because you can't just drive into them, but you just have to be mindful of the line they are looking to take and drive sensibly according to where they're going to go. And now look at this. There's at the top of the shot there, you can see the Unison 717 car, Max Bunovic, having gotten past the Porsche of Ricardo Pera, who's there. He's now got himself. Let's have a look at the gap. What's the gap now looking like between the two? That's about 1.6 seconds. So now he's gotten clear of the Porsche. He's now. Oh, that's close. that was very close between the Porsche and the Aston there of Malky Yopi. Again, I'm saying that differently every time I say it. I wholeheartedly apologise. I will get it right eventually. What have we got a replay of here? So this is the Porsche getting a bit, getting a bit up close and personal with the Aston Martin. Oh, okay. So that's the. That's where it all culminated in a very, very close moment between nose and tail. So that was, I think that was the Burst. I think it was Scofron in the Burst car. Yes, I think it would have been. Just threading the needle through the GTE cars. Oh, that was Aslan. Oh, that was the 79 Axel car. Just working its way through the course because the 79 Axel car still has them timed again. And still the Porsche is just holding its line behind the Aston at the moment, and now the BMW is starting to get a bit closer. So the GTEs there was GTE 123. It's very, very close right now. And, well, in fairness, it's 1, 2, 3, 4. Riccardo Perez not that far behind. He's only 1.5 seconds off the back of Max Bunovic at the moment. So the 4 of our 6 GTEs are in close succession. So it was actually Michael Pedersen in the ID Sim Sport car that's out of position. He's behind the GT3s, unfortunately. It's been a bit of a struggle for the ID Sim Sport team. They really couldn't get a consistent lap in during qualifying, so they do find themselves somewhat out of sorts. The GT3s are kind of equidistant spread apart at the moment, with Alexander Sasha in the 585 Azatec car. It's about 3.2 seconds ahead of Callum Wilson in the Glam Racing Audi, who themselves are about 4 seconds ahead of Carl Liekagaard in the 777 DSR Gadget Cruising Corvette. The GTEs, as you can quite clearly see, are very, very close together. To say they're battling is probably a bit of an exaggeration. They're just going through the motions at the moment. So we will see then if that culminates in an actual fight. And if it does, it is going to help Riccardo Perez in the Mastaro car to close in. Oh, there's not the DIS going for a bit of a move, bit of a locker. They're coming into turn 1. I've got my drink in my hand, ready to take a swing there. And the Porsche said, no, I'm going to have a go for the lead here, but doesn't quite pull it off. Now, was that an attempt at a move, or was that him out breaking himself? I would imagine it was a move. He's now got it done on the run down towards Tessini Del Lago. That is the GTE lead, now in the hands of the DIS Sim Racing Lab. Mika Yoppi could not do anything about that one. Try as he may, he could not keep the Porsche behind. Now the BMW, very large in the rear view monitor. Oh, the Aston! Oh, I thought Mika Yoppi there was going to try and make a move back on the Porsche at the possible worst time. Now, this is going to be interesting, because if the Aston's going to start to try and argue with the Porsche, they're going to be defending and counterpunching. If they want to do this for 12 hours, I'm game. Absolutely, I'll have this. One, they'll be exhausted, 2, my throat will be barren. But hell, what a way for it to go. They are being pretty good in racing conduct. In fairness, as the Porsche one's a little bit too wide, coming through Zheng Xiao, and that's going to aid the Aston staying up close. Here comes Bunovic. Is he going to try and make the move, or is he going to stay there? Then you've got the Porsche right behind, who's gained a couple of tenths. Riccardo Perez on the trio ahead of him. And again, the more they kind of hold each other up, the more the Porsche could get involved. As in the inside line goes Max Bunovic. A pretty straightforward move for the BMW. Can he hold it? That's going to compromise him a little bit coming through the center S's. Here comes the Aston Martin, almost on the grass, but does indeed make it stick. So it's very much the same trio, but reversed now from a couple of laps ago. The Porsche now leading the way from the BMW, and the Aston in third. So 3 different manufacturers, with Riccardo Perez in the next Porsche, just less than 1.5 seconds behind now, as they continue their merry way. There is the Unison squad, with, of course, Max Bunovic being he was the one that qualified the car in the darkness hours. It was Zakharov that qualified the car during the daylight hours of yesterday's sessions. And already, Max Bunovic is looking keen on challenging that DIS car for the GTE lead. So he's already got himself a bit of a gap between himself and Maki Yoppi. Or Yoppi, again, not 100% sure how that's pronounced. But this lap hasn't gone brilliantly well for the Aston Martin. That could drop him into the clutches of Riccardo Perez in the Porsche. And then you got a little bit further back, Angel Benegas in the 27 MCM car, about 4 seconds back from this particular crew. You can just see him at the top of the shot there. Into turn 1. BMW still keeping the Porsche honest, but a little bit more spread out now. As I said before, the corner exit is where the Porsche seems a little stronger, but that could be down to the setup differences between the Porsche we were talking about at the time, which is the Musto Pescara number 53. I might just stick to car numbers, easier to say. The Musto Pescara number 53. It was the BMW, was the Porsche we were talking about before when they were challenging the 717 Unison car. So their setup could be a little bit different to the DIS car. But either way, looks like we're now, I was going to say we were settling into a bit of a rhythm, but the DIS car's now under a bit of pressure from Max Bunnebeck. As they are coming through the twisty bit, the part of the track I thought the BMW would be weakest, but Max seems to be really making it work. And Max did a great job, as I said, in the evening qualifying session yesterday. Really got some pace out of that BMW, which again could be down to setup changes they made after the daylight qualifying session. So, you know, bit of column A, bit of column B, you could argue. But whatever they've done, it is certainly working, as Bunnebeck now right on the tail of the number 45 car. Now, is he close enough to make a move? He's certainly close enough to get a bit of slipstream coming down the start-finish straight and towards turn 1. But not close enough. It was around about 7/10 when he hit the brakes. Down through centre S's. He's not going to be close enough this time around. The Porsche dumping the power, dumping his German horses to the road. And that's around about 7/10 again, or just under, to keep the lead to itself. Also, Max could be just settling into a rhythm. Oh, but if the Porsche does that too many times, that is not going to be helpful for the Porsche. As Max Bunnebeck comes up towards Perodura and Larangina again. He's too far back this time to make any kind of impression on the Porsche. And the rest of our field have now kind of spread out. They've gotten into their rhythms now. So this is the closest on-track battle we have. This is why we're concentrating. So something has just made me chuckle. And I very much appreciate our drivers obviously realising that I'm flying solo in the box tonight, as we see Robert Pound dancing around the 404 Glam Racing Audi. I've just had a chuckle at the hat that Matthias Harvig has just put on. Production, we can get Matthias Harvig his picture. Oh, Robert Pound. You should see he's nearly getting squidgy. I love this. I love the hat that Matthias Harvig has just put on. Hopefully production will be able to get that on the screen for us shortly. That's what put me off and gave me a bit of a chuckle. So very much appreciated there, Matthias Harvig. Hope to get that on stream very shortly. Following the action, of course, of what Robert Pound is doing. As you can see, there it is. So the beautiful Danish flag in true fashion saying Denmark, not what we ignorant English would call Denmark. But there is Max Bunnebeck staying right with the DIS Porsche. That's why our production was not so much ignoring me, but they were sticking with the action quite rightly. So whilst I was enjoying a hat, we can now all also enjoy the GTE battle lead. Oh, that's getting a bit spicy. Whoa, my goodness me, the Porsche got a bit stuck there. I'm not sure where to go. Now, that's the 79 Axel car. I think that's Naki Baslan that's just gone through. And again, Naki was absolutely right. He just backed off there, realizing that the Porsche and BMW really had nowhere else to go. So rather than trying to force his way through, and again, there's no point. We've got 11 and a half hours plus to go. There's no point trying to force your way through. But of course, this is the GTE lead. These two don't want to kind of give up too much space at this stage. So, yeah, everybody's got to play the game. As there goes, who was that? Was that Robert Pound that just came past? Yeah, that's the Deuce's car that's just gone through. So, yeah, very well navigated there. Actually, no, that must have been Michi Hoyer then. No, it'd be Damien Scofron. It was the one before Robert Pound, big one. I thought it might have been Naki, but he's not that far back. So, yeah, nicely driven then from both Porsche and BMW, as we are fast approaching our first advert break of the broadcast. Every half an hour, we'll be having a word from the sponsors. Give my vocal cords a bit of a break as well, and give your ears a rest from my dulcet tones as well. No one should be subjected to 12 hours of me, but I'm afraid that's what you have. So, look how close that is. That's Peter Vagapov in the Unison number 17. Now trying to work his way through. There he goes. Oh, again! Oh, wow. Now, that was a bit close, but either way, no one came to blows. Very well driven, actually, from all concerned. That could have very easily ended up in a spin, but everybody survived that one. And because the lap's so short, we're going to see numerous occasions where the faster cars have caught the slower ones in opportune times, in the twisty sections. So we're going to see that a lot during the course of the race. And the BMW just not getting the traction he needs at the right times to challenge the Porsche, but again, that may well change in the course of the race. What have they got for themselves gap-wise? About 2.5 seconds back to the Juices car now. There it is. Just saw at the back of the shots, who himself is about a second ahead of Ricardo Pera. So we might have a battle for third brewing between the 74 and 53 cars. But still, Max Bodovic staying in the tyre tracks of the DIS Sim Racing Porsche. Here comes Naqib Aslan in the Sen 9 Axel car. But what I thought was him earlier was actually Damien Scovron in the burst number 94. So Naqib's been just pressing on, obviously trying to make up for lost time. He's about 40 seconds behind the leader now, but he finds himself about 12 seconds behind Peter Vagapov in the Unison car, so still pressing on. He could put himself with his LMP2 stablemates. He was around between 20 and 30 seconds behind once the race had begun, so he has slowly whittled that gap down, and will be joining his LMP2 brethren at some point. So the picture-in-picture is Ricardo Pera in fourth, staring at the back of the Juices Motorsports number 74 car in third. So we do indeed have a battle for the lead and a battle for third. Those two fights are only separated by 2 seconds themselves. So there's nothing to say that these four cars won't reunite to become one long battle, but at the moment it is BMW versus Porsche for the lead, and Aston versus Porsche for third position. But for the time being, we'll keep an eye on what's going on here. We will have a commercial break, and if something does happen in the meantime, we will bring that into replay. But for now, let's have a word from the sponsors.
The 2022 Endurance eRacing World Championship brought to you in partnership with Viper Gaming by Patriot, Aztec Sim Sports, Global Flicks, Motorvision.tv, Stengolm, ESTV, and Film Vault Limited.
Just think about the fun things you do online. Diving into movies you love. Shopping. Enjoying free Wi-Fi with your morning coffee. Wait, who's that guy? Meet the Digital Snooper. It can be your internet service provider peeking at what you do online, or a cyber criminal on a mission to snitch your credit card info, or a hacker at the next table trying to steal your sensitive data. Uh-oh. But don't worry. NordVPN keeps all these snoopers away. It makes your internet activity private, protects you from accessing dangerous websites, and lets you enjoy your favorite content securely, even while away from home. The best part? It's just a click. Yep, internet security is that easy.
You can get NordVPN today at a 60% discount by visiting gtr24h.org/VPN. for Green is here to help you carbon neutralize your racing. By planting new trees, Racing for Green offers to make your racing carbon neutral. We already have the calculations, contacts, infrastructure, deals and solutions ready for you to easily buy carbon neutral laps on any racetrack. It doesn't matter if you are a racing fan, team owner, driver, sponsor or partner. Anyone can buy CO2 neutral laps in the Racing for Green webshop and trade CO2 emissions for New Forest. Racing for Green.
Welcome back, everybody, to the fourth round of the EEWC. My goodness me, that's one way to come back off a commercial, as Bunovic is bullying his way past the Porsche. There was no contact there, so that's a slightly unfair description to use, but trying to apply the pressure to get the Porsche into a mistake side by side now, coming down towards, well, what a great time to come back. These two have been glued to each other all during the commercial break. There was a little bit of a gap. The Porsche manages to shut the door on Max Bunovic, force him to the outside line of turn one. Can he get it done to the center? Yes, he can. That is the lead to the 717 Unison car. But what can the Porsche do to counteract it? Because, I mean, they've both got pace. What a move. Max Bunovic, take a bow. That was absolutely brilliant stuff. Goes straight to the defensive line. They are aware this is an endurance race, yes? They do know that it's not 11 minutes. It's 12 minutes of intense racing, which, yeah, I'll shout about it, sure. But, oh my goodness me, they're not giving each other any quarter whatsoever. Oh, that was close. The Porsche could not do anything on the outside line coming up the hill towards Ferradura. But, my word, he's not letting the 717 Beamer dance off into the distance. But equally, we don't know the strengths of each driver in each team compared to this track. So it could be that Max Bunovic we knew was strong, but for all we know, he's their strongest driver. So Max will want to build up a gap now for when the driver change does happen, and whoever steps into the car next may not quite have the same pace as whoever then steps into the DIS car. So yeah, this battle might dissipate before the pit stops or what have you, but we don't know. We have absolutely no idea. We knew Max was quick, and the Porsche is taking a button now. Who is that coming into the pit at the end of what, slightly over the first half hour? That would be, is that a race leader that's come in? It is, yes, it's the Burst Esports number 18. Michi Hoyer has brought the car into the pits. He's having his own coffee, I've just noticed. He did this before, I seem to remember. We spotted him having a drink down the back straight somewhere. There was Sebring. So, first pit stop then. A bit earlier than I was expecting. There he is. He's put his coffee down. He's always so chilled and relaxed, isn't he? You'd never see him flustered. But yeah, Michi Hoyer's pace has just been absolutely unreal. It always is. No matter what Michi Hoyer drives, he could be in a go-kart and still do well in this field. So in he comes there, and I would imagine that's just going to be a fairly standard pit stop. We haven't seen him hit anything. Yep, out he goes now, or he's on the way out. And we'll get an idea of how long he's been in the pits for. There we go. So he's about 30-ish seconds behind the 79 Axel car. He was in, what, about a minute, give or take? Something like that. But he's happy. It's always good to see our drivers happy. There's the DIS car again, still in the tyre tracks of the Unison BMW. And right behind, we see the Juices car with someone joining them. Not sure who that was that's just been passed. That's the other Burst car. That's Damien Scott front. With Ricardo Perra in the fourth place Porsche for Musto Pescara. Looking at the back of the Juices car, that's the team lined up to drive the car. So is Eros Maciuli that was the main qualifier of the car, David Greco, Michael D'Alessandro, and oh no, we did see Michael Francesconi, didn't we? Yes, he did. Michael did the daylight qualifying, and Eros did the night qualifying in that car. So it wasn't just Eros's efforts that got the car where it was. Ricardo Pera continuing to stay with the Juices car. Oh, and speaking of Juices, there's the other one. That was nice timing. As very squiggly coming through the corners is Robert Pound in the LMP car. The two Juices car united on stream. There's advertising for you. Nicely done. Oh, don't hit each other. That must be quite a scary place actually to make the move on the outside of Mugello. He got it done. Oh, Ricardo Pera, that looked a bit slidey there. Either way, he's carried on his merry way. So let's have a look at where people are by their categories. So you can see Michi Hoyer and Peter Vagapov are only DPIs. Both DPI cars have been in the pits. So that's why Michi is still ahead of Peter by around about 33 seconds now. Separates the two cars. In our LMPs, it's still burst up top. Damien Scovron still in control of the number 94. Robert Pound still in control of the number 15. And of course, Nakib Aslan still in control of the 21. We haven't seen the LMP2s come in yet. As for our GTE contingent, and we're not expecting our GTE car to come in for quite a while just yet, but Max Benevic, with that amazing move that we saw him put on the 45 car, gives him the GTE lead. And then in third is Juha Makajopi in the number 74 car. Then Ricardo Pera in the Porsche with Angel Benegas and Michael Pedersen rounding out the GTE field. It's the ID Synsport car still is a little way behind the GT3 field at the moment. And then there are GT3 contenders, Alexander Sasha for Azatec in the lead of the GT3s by about 6 seconds. So not a huge gap, but it has been very slightly growing lap on lap between himself and Callum Wilson in the Glam Racing 404 with Carl Liekegaard in the 777 DSI Gadget Husa car about 10 seconds further back again. So again, people settling into their rhythms now. What's the gap for the GT lead? That's still only about 1.5 seconds, give or take, or up to about 2 seconds now. So it does look like Max Benevic is getting the foot down a bit. There is Nakib Aslan. He's in second because Robert Pound has brought the Juices car in. So first pit stop then in our LMP2 contingent is the number 15 car. So that elevates the 79 axle car up into second place. He finds himself 32 seconds behind the leaders. Well, he was up to 40 seconds behind the leader at some point, so he has been whittling that lead down. And I think, yeah, actually, I'm just looking at the best lap times for the LMP2s, and 79 Axel has the quickest lap time of the class. Only by a tenth and a half, but he does have that, so 20.209 in the hands of Nakib Aslan. So fair play to the 79 Axel squad. They've been really pressing on. That's now the GTE lead. So once that BMW got ahead, Max Benevic is really pressing on. As you can see, Scovron now the race leader and of course LMP leader in the pits now. So it stands to reason that Aslan will be coming in. Has he done this time? Was he carried on? No, Nakib Aslan's carried on. So he'll be coming in fairly soon. I wouldn't think our GTEs would come in until at least the top of the hour, I would have thought. We will see. Some people may have short fueled for the early part of the session. Again, we've no idea what strategies everybody is running. There's the DIS car, now a little bit lonely. It's lost its playmate. That is. But it's changing tyres on the 94. That's early to be changing tyres. I'm a bit surprised by that. And off he goes. It was a long time that Damien Scovron was in the pits for. Curious. I was surprised he'd be taking tyres so early. But either way, the Burst Esports car is now back out on track. Obviously in now third in class, about a minute-ish behind. No, he's not. Sorry, he's about 13 seconds behind Robert Pound. He's about a minute behind Nakib Aslan. Curious one, that. It's a long stop so early. Is the same 9-axle car coming in? Yes, he does. Or just about slowing that car down to the pit lane speed limit. I haven't had any notifications of any penalties just yet, so everyone's behaving themselves so far. So far, so good on that front. What's the GTE? GTE lead now about 3 seconds. And the class fastest lap. Actually, the class fastest lap still belongs to the DIS car of a 30.374. Which Benevik hasn't quite matched. Only 300ths difference. But that fastest lap still belongs to the Porsche, not the BMW. And there's a Nakib Aslan. Now, how long is he going to be in the pit lane for? Yeah, he's doing the same. Interesting. Now, of course, we don't see the actual pit stop animation going on. But yeah, that's a long time to be in the pits for. That's going to put, of course, Aslan back towards the exactly the same length of time that we saw Scovron. But Robert Pound had a much shorter stop, and that, as a result, the 15 Juices car now leads the LMP class. So there's about 11.5 seconds-ish, or a bit more than that, between Scovron and Robert Pound. As you can see in the tower in the top left-hand corner, of course it ebbs and flows with braking zones and elements of traffic. But with fresh tyres on, Damien Scovron should be able to push a little bit more. That's the drivers that are going to be taking control of the LMP car for Burst Esports. So Rasmus Andersen, Tom Allmendinger, we saw during qualifying. Damien Scovron, we also saw, we didn't see Joao or Cameron during the qualifying for the 94 car. But we will, of course, see them in the course of the race, or we could see them, I should say. That's the team that are registered to take the car. We don't know how many of them will actually drive the car today. Wow, yeah, it does look like Damien is really pushing on. Yeah, new fastest lap of the class, actually, 120.341. So, yeah, Damien's now really kind of pressing on a bit. Fresh tyres, and he's really making them work at this stage. Well, he certainly can close in the gap. At that kind of rate, he was near enough to the thousands, 2 seconds quicker than Robert Pound was in the Deuces car. So, again, that could be traffic. That could be a small mistake somewhere, but Damien is really pressing on now. Wanted to close that gap in as quickly as he can. As for the rest, well, the GTEs are all lapping in a similar kind of vein. Let's have a look. 131.342 for our leading BMW, 31.245 for the DIS car, 31.745 for the Juices car, 31.665, so they're all within 0.3 of a second as well. Ricardo Perro was 31.665 and Angel Benegas 31.832, whereas Pedersen was a 39, so I think made a bit of an error. Actually, Michael Pedersen is in, so the ID Synsport car is in the pits. So maybe it had suffered something in the early part of the race. Maybe it hit someone, which would explain why that Michael was struggling a bit, because a 31.628 is as quick as they've managed thus far in the car. So they may well have had an incident of some description, because that's earlier than I would expect. And there it is. There is the 166 car now on its way, and that's been in the pits for quite a while, I think, because it now finds itself a minute and a half, well, near a full lap behind the GT3 field. So that's not gone well for Pedersen. So we'll see if that pit stop then has fixed whatever issue that Ann Aston has been experiencing. As we look at Nakib Aslan coming up to the back of the Glam Racing Audi. And as I say, the GT3 pace has still, with just a few tenths advantage, been with the 585 car. Alexander Sesha has been doing the business for Azatec. Oh, still around the outside. It looks very close. Well, it looks close, and using all the available runoff area there for Naki Baslam before if he'd gone any further, he would have incurred an off track there. And as we had that notice from race control earlier on, they can incur 6 cut tracks during the race. If they make another one, they'll be automatically given a penalty by the server. So that's not race control applying that particular penalty. But if race control spot that there are all 4 wheels outside the white line several times in the race, that's when they can give that's when race control can give the warning. So either it'll be first off a warning, then a drive-through, then a 10-second stop go, a 30-second stop go, and then a 60-second stop go for every subsequent penalty thereafter, if they keep on doing it. So they should learn by that point. Pedersen back on track now, so that was his outlap. So it was a good minute. He was in the pit. Oh no! That's not how you want to take the center S's. So again, whatever is going on for that car is not suiting Michael Pedersen whatsoever. However, the DIS Sim Racing Lab car, as we've now jumped to, is rather just minding his own business. 3.5 seconds or so separate themselves and Max Binovic. There's Ricardo Pera, we saw towards the top spots of the GTE class early on. It's now about 3.6 seconds behind Yuha Maki-Jopi. Or Maki-Yalpi, I think that's actually pronounced. Again, apologies if I'm getting it wrong. Here's the Porsche coming in. Again, I wouldn't expect it to, but it does look like Angel Benegas has indicated he's going to come in. We'll see if he does so. At the moment, they are just minding their own business out there. No sign of anybody coming into the pits this time around. That's riding on board with the 3rd place GTE car. It was briefly. And there's the DIS car again. You can see the gap between themselves and the race leading 717, or the GTE leading, I should say, 717 car in that previous shot. There's Angel Benegas, who, according to what timing screen, has indicated he's going to come into the pits this time in the MCM Motorsport number 27 car. So 31.045 has been the best time of that Aston so far. And again, this isn't a track I would have thought would have suited the Aston too well. Ricardo Pera in the Porsche for Mustard Pescara, the number 53 car, is still going through the miles. And there's Damien Scovron in the Burst LMP2 car. Wow, that gap has come right down to 3.4 seconds between himself and Robert Pound in the Deuce's car. Struth. So Ricardo Pera has gained on Maki-Yapi, has he? Let's see then. The gap does ebb and flow a bit, of course, every gap does. All the GTEs are almost equidistant apart at this stage. And there is Maki-Yapi and the 74 Deuces car. Let's see what the lap times were last summer. 31.997 for the Deuces car, 31.454, so that's half a second to the Porsche's advantage there. Although the 53 didn't look very happy coming into turn 1, looked a bit slidey there. There is Damien Scovron again in the Burst Esports LMP2. Let's see, he was a second quicker than Robert Pound was. As you can see, highlights from the first hour. You can see that was where the DIS car just made that big move for the GTE lead over Benegas. And then you will see the 717 trying to do the same thing, which of course he eventually did. And Benegas gave it its all, in fairness. But Max Brunevik would not be denied. That was where he was on the inside line of Desida de Largo, and then on the outside line through Larangina. Whereas later on would be when he would claim that spot. And there it is. So he initially was going to the inside line on the run down of Desida de Largo, got cut off from that, and then did indeed banzai the inside to claim what was then it wasn't quite the lead, because it was second, I believe, in class then. Oh no, it was third, because the Deuces car was still in the lead at that point. There's Damien Scovron. You can see in the main picture, he's really closing in on Robert Powell. That's now under 3 seconds between those two cars. Oh, and that was where the Unison DPI car got slightly squiggly. Peter Vagapov made that small mistake into turn 1. And that was Damien Scovron threading the needle in between the DIS and the Deuces cars very early on. That was somewhat of a surprise. And then you've got, that's the 717 car then homing in on the lead battle. That was when Deuces still led the way in GTE. And with a small mistake the DIS capitalised on, then Max Bunovic then followed through, which is good fun to see. As Scovron is really homing in now on Pound. Now, will Robert Pound defend is going to be the big question. And in the picture-in-picture, that's when the DIS car got ahead of the Deuces car for the GTE lead. And then if you look on the monitor there, actually the replay ended there, but you can see the BMW then very, very large in the rear view monitor. And that's when Bunovic then got on the inside line and denied the Aston turning in. Absolutely brilliant move there. And then set about challenging the DIS car a few laps later. As through came Vagapov. And nearly caused, the three of them nearly came together, but they did very well to navigate that. That could have gone rather horribly wrong. As Robert Pound kicked up a bit of dust there, just coming through Mugello. Now Damien Scovron very much on his case, as again that highlights reel shows just how close the two got. Nearly being shoved. That was how close they got. I think it was just as we were coming out of commercial break when that happened. So that was about half an hour ago. As Damien Scovron now is getting close, and certainly getting ready to attack Robert Powell. Oh, that's Nikki Aslan, is it? Okay. I thought that was... Oh, that's where one of the assets... Oh, no, that's Robert Pound he is catching. So I'm looking in the main image there. Robert Pound has just actually slowed down not to hit the back of the Glam Racing Audi. And Damien Scovron is really ready to take the LMP2 lead back again. He's utilising these fresh tyres very nicely. Hopefully he's not taking too much life out of them. So this is the LMP lead that's being fought for here. So lap on lap on lap that Scovron, since taking those new tyres on, has been absolutely destroying the gap between himself and Robert Pound. But is it going to be this time around? Let's have a look over the start-finish line once again. And is he going to make the move? He's a little too far back to do it this time around. He's certainly there and ready to get involved. No dice at the moment. Now, where is he going to make the move? It certainly seems set, because Robert Powell's not going to the defensive line at the moment. They can see there's a back marker there. That's the Azatec car. There's Alex Zescher they've now caught up with. And nicely done. Zescher saw there was LMPs coming towards him. Now, sometimes it's easy to forget that there could be more than one car absolutely charging towards you. You make way for the first one, try and get back onto the racing line, and then catch the second one. Oh, Damien Scovron nearly nudges the back of Robert Pound there. And Scotland is very keen to get on with it and doesn't want to stay behind his competitor for too long. Well, you never want to stay behind your competitors, but it doesn't look like he wants to kind of stay there and conserve fuel or anything like that. He wants to get out there and get on with it. As they are catching the MCM car. Is that still Benegas? Yes, Angel Benegas still in command of the number 27. They're just catching up to. Now, does Scovron make the move here? I think Scovron may well just opt to stay there a little while and just put the pressure on. We will see. Again, he certainly gets close, just doesn't quite make the move. He's certainly had he's had the pace, as we said, to close in, But quite why he's not making the move now, unless he's just trying to do it in a place that's very, very safe rather than banzai his way past. Aha, race control warning to car number 21 being outside the white line in the corner several times. Now, car number 21 is, I've forgotten, that's Akid Naslan, that's the 79 axle car. So they have had their race control warning, so if they keep pushing their luck, they will be given a drive-through penalty, and if they keep doing it, it's then the 10-second, 30-second, and then 60-second penalties. Oh, Damien Scovron went for a bit of a desperate move there on the inside line of Beaker de Pato. So did not get that one turned in right whatsoever. Let's have a look at it again. So coming down the hill through Peronino up towards I think Damien got a little bit loose there. I think he wanted to make the move, but went in a bit too hard, locked up the rear axle and locked up into the side of Robert Pound there. As we've got who we've got coming in, the DIS car is coming to the pits now. There's Ricardo Pera now up in the third for Ernesto Pescara, the 53 Porsche. Picture in picture, it's still Damien Scovron. The the LMP lead battle continuing on its merry way as they danced around the Juice's car. It's Juha Maki Yapi, sorry. Now, is Damien Scovron going to just hold his line, or is he going to force the move again? We will see. That was a Gadget Hooted car, Carl Liekegard. Treble 7 car has had a bit of a lonely race. He finds himself about 17 seconds behind Callum Wilson in the 404 car. That is Damien Scovron. Again, face full of concentration as he's hustling hard for the LMP2 lead. You've got to bear in mind that his tyres, assuming he did take tyres when he was in the pits, because it seemed like he was in there much longer than just fuel, so we're taking the assumption that he did take tyres. His tyres should be a lot fresher than Robert Pound's. This is surely an opportunity this time around, but there is again a back marker there. Is he going to commit to the inside line, the outside line? That's the Unison Racing BMW. Stays very much out of the way. Nicely done. Now you can stay off the racing line and stay, as long as you make it very obvious what you're doing, you can stay off the racing line. A situation like that, if the Unison car, if Medovic has tried to go to the racing line, he'd have hit the LMP. So you do have to be sensible in how you go about being the car that's being passed. So nicely done there. Juha Maki Yapi has brought the Deuces car into the pits then, so the GTE cars now serving their first pit stop. And we are late for our commercial break, but at the moment we are keeping an eye. Every time we've come to the commercial break, we've had something to look at. So I'm certainly not complaining about the action. Oh, Scovron! That was exactly the same mistake at exactly the same place. Goodness me. So we'll carry on going for the time being until this particular battle either resolves itself or until we hit 10 past, and then we'll have production keep an eye on it and give us a replay of any action that happens in the commercial break, should that be the case. As Damien Scovron is just hustling hard, but Robert Pound is doing a great job of keeping the burst car behind. Now, the third place 79 Astro car is, 26-ish seconds back. Actually, the next car down the road is the Unison car, the Unison number 17, Peter Vagapov. So, what's happened to Peter Vagapov? Mention his name. He done. He's just got past Bunovic in the Unison car, in the Unison. Oh, he's taking the advertising hoardings. Oh, what's that car got against the advertising boards? That's exactly what it did when it joined the qualifying session yesterday. It took out the boards and bounced off the wall. So Peter Vagapov, then seemingly an advertising board magnet, has taken them out. A few more pit stops have happened, I think. Oh no, Angel Benegas is still in the pits. He's just come in the pits in the MCM car. As Damien Scovron hasn't locked up this time, coming into the Beaker de Pato, but does get squiggly on the way out. Now down the hill, through Mugello, down towards Junxiao. This doesn't seem to quite have enough pace to get past Robert Pound. He had enough pace to get up to the tail end of Robert Pound, but not enough to get past him. Or he's just staying there. Now, he could be trying to save fuel. Obviously, you would have had to have taken a fair amount of life out of the tyres. It does look like he does try the move on a few occasions. What's he going to do into the first turn? Has a look. Oh, a bit hesitant, but he has gone for it. Robert Pound gave the racing room. Are they side by side? Well, they were side by side briefly, but the tyre advantage going to Damien Scovron, and that is the burst car now up into the lead. Is Robert Pound going to try and counter attack? Not at the moment. Bit early to have your headlights on, gents. It's not dark yet. But here it is again. Now you see Damien Scovron sticks to the racing line, has a look, and then just looks a little hesitant going in for the move, but does indeed stick to it. Robert Pound gave plenty of racing room, through into the lead. They go. There's Ricardo Perrin now leading the GTEs with the Glam Racing Audi right on his tail. So the Glam Racing car has been through the pits, and is of course in the GT3 category. There's Robert Pound. Can he keep up with Damien Scovron? Yeah, I would agree. Production, that particular fight has now resolved. As look at the gap now; it's already over a second. Let's have a chat. Well, have a word from our commercial sponsors.
The 2022 Endurance eRacing World Championship brought to you in partnership with Viper Gaming by Patriot, Aztec Sim Sports, Global Flix, Motorvision.tv, Stengolm, ESTV, and Film Vault Limited.
Just think about the fun things you do online. Diving into movies you love. Shopping. Enjoying free Wi-Fi with your morning coffee. Wait, who's that guy? Meet the Digital Snooper. It can be your internet service provider peeking at what you do online, or a cyber criminal on a mission to snitch your credit card info, or a hacker at the next table trying to steal your sensitive data. Uh-oh. But don't worry. NordVPN keeps all these snoopers away. It makes your internet activity private, protects you from accessing dangerous websites, and lets you enjoy your favorite content securely, even while away from home. The best part? It's just a click. Yep, internet security is that easy.
You can get NordVPN today at a 60% discount by visiting gtr24h.org/VPN. Racing for Green is here to help you carbon neutralize your racing. By planting new trees, Racing for Green offers to make your racing carbon neutral. We already have the calculations, contacts, infrastructure, deals and solutions ready for you to easily buy carbon neutral laps on any racetrack. It doesn't matter if you are a racing fan, team owner, driver, sponsor or partner. Anyone can buy CO2 neutral laps in the Racing for Green webshop and trade CO2 emissions for New Forest. Racing for Green.